This video is a quick demo of how the new permission system works within the StationOne platform. So effectively, we've done a significant amount of work to break apart all of the features into their own independent modules. So things like the hoses, pre-plans, hydrants, inspections, etc., are all now basically discrete feature modules within the platform. This is what also allows you to be able to enable and disable different parts of the platform. So that was released in the last release. So in your features section, you basically have the ability to turn on and off separate parts of the platform. That was leading up to the implementation of the feature-based permission system, which is really easy to use. So from our members tab, remembering that in StationOne we have 3 different types of users effectively. So we have our brigade members, firstly. These are members that do not have access to the platform at all, so they can't log in, they can't sign into the admin portal, but their name is recorded for the purposes of doing things like vehicle inspections and RSVPing to events and obviously all of your reporting and things like that. So they're your brigade members, no requirement to log in. Then we move up to our brigade users. So brigade users do have the ability to log into the platform. Current day, a brigade user can basically see everything in the platform, but with read-only access. So they can't edit inspection templates and they can't edit hoses and all of those kind of things, which is what the new features permission module basically enables. And then we've got our brigade admins. So obviously they've got administrative access over the entire brigade or unit, so they can update, delete, create, do all of that kind of stuff. They can see everything in the platform. So obviously the largest impact is going to be on our brigade or unit users as this change goes live, in the fact that they can currently see everything when they log in. Following this change, until they're appointed permissions, they will not be able to see anything except for actions, but they most likely won't see any actions, and they'll just see the brigade dashboard and the calendar and things like that. So there's a couple of different ways to use the new permission system. So if you've just got someone who's been in your brigade as a member and all of a sudden they've been appointed, say, as a maintenance officer, or they're going to look after the hoses or something like that, you can come in and just make a direct appointment to them. So we've got some pre-made appointments which have permissions attached to them. So we've got hose manager, maintenance officer, stores officer, obviously captain. Captain makes them a unit admin. So we can basically just appoint them with one of these appointment types. And the system will automatically invite them and upgrade them to be a user of the platform. So they'll get the invitation email, they'll have to set their password, and then they can log in from that point. So they are no longer a member, they have transitioned to that point as a user. If someone's already a user, as may be the case, as I said, they are going to lose their ability to view things until permissions are applied to them. So if we have a look here at this particular person, they've got an end dated. I'll just see if we've got one that's got any current. She's a brigade admin, brigade user. That's right. So we can appoint this person here as a hose manager. So that'll go through. So that's cool. Ongoing. Happy days. So now if we come down to our feature permission matrix on the user, you'll see here that the hose section, they've already inherited those permissions by virtue of having that appointment. And you can't change these until you remove that particular appointment. But what you can do is give them more permissions in the platform. So if you said, they're going to manage hoses, but we want them to be able to do pre-plans, we can give them that feature as well, and be able to see that in the platform. So effectively, you don't have to use the appointment system that's in the platform. You can just come and manually provide those particular users with access to certain features. So as I said, if you've got someone that's going to manage your hoses or your hydrants or your pre-plans, but you don't want them to have access to inspections, training, events, etc., you can basically come in here, you can grant them access as a user, and you can give them pre-plans features, and that's it. That's effectively all they will have access to in that particular scenario. So that's effectively what this new permission scheme implements. It does have broader reaching consequences throughout the platform, effectively, in terms of the fact that this particular user won't see any actions that are not related to hoses or pre-plans. So any actions in your system that are arising as a result of an inspection, or something else like that, they're not going to see them. So that's all hidden from them. And then obviously, as you scale up those permissions, they're going to start to see more actions in the system. They also will only have access to reports that are relevant to their role. So in this case, there is a hose report, so they will have access to the hose report, but that's it. They won't see the detailed member reporting. They won't see vehicle reporting. There's no reporting for pre-plan, so that doesn't matter. But basically, it's controlling within the platform, as you would expect, in line with those particular features of what the person can see and do within the platform. It also has implications on the email notifications that they receive as well. So they will no longer receive email notifications that occur within the platform that are out of scope of their feature permissions. So this is something that's been quite heavily requested. There was a significant amount of groundwork that went into ensuring that this worked as we had hoped that it would work. We've done some fairly thorough testing on this internally, and we're fairly confident at this point that we're comfortable to release this feature and basically allow units to start taking control of some of those permissions and potentially removing some people as admins that have been admins by virtue of having to have access to various different things in the platform. Likewise, we can also end these appointments out as well. So if we end out the hose manager appointment, you'll see that this person has now lost their hose manager access. So it's unticked those. We can manually reappoint them. And obviously, because pre-plans we had added manually to this person, that has been retained after that appointment has gone. As I said, the platform will automatically scale up and scale down. So if we did appoint this person as a captain, they would then shift up into a brigade or a unit admin role. And likewise, if we took that captain off them, they would drop back down into a user role and then have pending permissions. It's important to note, obviously, that if we look at someone who is an admin in the system, so this person is the captain, they're an admin, that feature permission section is actually entirely missing from here. As I noted, there is no feature permissions for an admin because they have access to everything by virtue of being an admin. So that disappears and it's no longer relevant in that administrative role. So hopefully that gives you an idea from our member management how those feature permissions are implemented, and we'll also take a quick look at what that looks like from a member's perspective. Obviously noted that this user that I'm using here at the moment in the test environment is an admin, so they've got access to everything. They can come in and they can see all of the reports. There's new reports added in the next version, but they can see all the reports. They can see all of the actions within their unit as well, irrelevant of where they came from. So, stock vehicles, etc. And as I said, obviously, once those feature permissions are applied to a user, they will lose the ability to have visibility over some of these things. So we'll jump in and have a look and see what it looks like from the user's perspective as well. So now we're logged in as our brigade member. So you can instantly see that things look a little bit different. So obviously their menu items in the left-hand side here are significantly reduced than what you saw with the admin user prior. There is still some stuff that even without the feature permission applied that the users have access to do. So obviously they can see some general information about the unit, start inspections and see the calendar and whatnot. They can see some limited information. So obviously they can book rooms, they can see equipment, they can see stock, and you'll notice that there's no ability to edit or interact with any of these items. And they can also see events as well within the unit, but again, no ability to create or edit and things like that. We determined if the pre-plans feature is on, that everyone should have access to that because it is, obviously required operationally. So in the case of this brigade user who has hose management access, they can see the pre-plans, but obviously they've got no ability to create them or edit them or do anything like that. The main thing that we had obviously added is the hose management. So now you'll see that we're in the hose module. They have the ability to add a hose. So now they basically have full read-write access into that particular feature that we had granted them. So they can come in here and they can do all of their normal hose management stuff based on the features that we have provided them with. And that's effectively it. So with this user just in the background here on my other screen, we can drop them maybe into some hydrant permissions as well. So maybe they're going to do our hoses and hydrants. So you can see now that that hydrant feature has appeared. Again, they've got permissions to edit and create hydrants, which we can also control. So I can turn off the create feature just on my other screen, and basically they will now get errored out when they try and perform this action. So you'll see that that's now actually blocked for them, but they can still come in and interact with those hydrants. And we can obviously add their create hydrant permission back to that user, and then they'll be able to be unblocked once that permission is set and come back and do actions on the hydrants. So you can see end to end effectively how this is working, particularly for those people in brigade or unit user roles, of significantly restricting down their ability to do things within the platform, but also being able to empower members of the brigade to be able to perform certain functions, be it hoses and hydrants and things like that, and actually take some responsibility over those things. As I'd noted, obviously the actions item list is reduced as well, so they're seeing some of the general actions that are raised. So like this IT one is something that someone's raised from the station portal page. It doesn't fit to any particular feature. It's just a general action or issue that a member has reported. So anyone can see those ones. There's a feedback submission type on that on the station portal reporting, which is restricted to admins only. Otherwise, any other module-specific actions will only be visible to people who have those particular permissions. So we can probably, in the background here, just toggle on some more permissions potentially and try and surface out some more action items. Not sure what action items we actually had that were in the test data. Just see if we can trick it into giving us, there we go. So stock had some action items. So I've just given this user stock permissions, and you can see that those action items have now appeared here in their action item list. And likewise, if we come into stock, you can see that they've now got the ability to manage the stock. They can create new stock items and do all of those kind of things in the stock module as well. So that's pretty much a wrap on our feature permissions system that we've implemented. As I said, we're at a point where we're comfortable with this to go out into general production. The release is effectively bundled and ready and waiting. So we anticipate to have that out very shortly. And obviously, once it's out, these are the features that will be available with regards to permissions management.